Hello, Dad. This is Jay Warren. This is the Dadhood Journey podcast, and today's topic is this: get them travel savvy. Let's do it.
Hi, my name's Nikko, and you're listening to my dad, Jay Warren. This is the Dadhood Journey podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yep. All right, Dad. So I have been traveling for the last couple of weeks, taking some really cool trips. One total for fun with the family, and one was a business trip that became another family trip. And one was with my son, one was without. And I think what's been telling this last couple of weeks is how much I do love traveling, even when it is a business trip. But it's something that I love doing, and thankfully my son, now that he's 6, enjoys seeing new places too, and he's become a really good traveler. He might have been a good traveler all the way throughout, but if this is something that you do a lot of, like you travel, you like to travel, you would like to travel more, getting your kids travel savvy is really important, because it makes everything so much easier when they're not nearly as much of a handful as they already are, especially when you're dealing with taking trains, planes, and automobiles all over the place, waiting at gates, getting on the plane, getting off the plane, all those kind of things. Because the first trip that we took, it was Nikko and I and my parents going out to Kauai, and one of the things that we did was make sure that we had a direct flight, and it made the flights a little, well, I guess easier, because there aren't that many just going from San Diego to Kauai, but having one less plane transfer makes a world of difference with kiddos, for sure. And the second trip, I'll come back to Nikko in a second. The second trip, I was flying out to Denver to speak at a conference. I was talking about dads, the importance of dads in the perinatal period, so it's dad related. But my brother lives out here in Denver, actually up above Golden and Boulder. They're up in the mountains. They're definitely off the grid up there, and it was a great visit with them. And as I finished the conference and they were asking about the Kauai trip, Chris and I, my brother, we were talking about how traveling, all traveling can be challenging, and you have missed flights, canceled flights, delayed flights, trams to the rental cars, all that kind of stuff. It can be a pain, but it also, if you're used to it and have a lot of experience with it, you're going to be able to do it that much better. And Chris and I both traveled a lot with our folks when we were younger. We didn't do extravagant trips, but my parents had kind of a side business that they were traveling to conferences to have a booth at a place and sell these things that they were doing. And we got it to go along for the ride because the trip was expensed, because it was a business expense. And we got to go on planes, and we stayed in hotels and, swam in the pools that the hotels had. And that my brother travels a lot for business, and has a lot for fun as well as for business. And we both say, we did a bunch as a kid, so it made it that much easier to take that obstacle away from possibly going on an adventurous trip, or it might be a little more than just flying from LA to New York, like a simple trip. Even those aren't always that simple. But because we had that experience, then when there's more legs involved and we got to get a bus to the airport, to the gate, to the airport, and picking up bags, and the bags got lost and all those kind of things, we've been through a number of those experiences so that when they come up, we can be more present. And going back to the first trip and relating back to Nikko, he's been on a number of trips. He hasn't been on a ton of them, but he's been on a number of plane rides before, so it's not his first time. But when we were leaving, the flight that we got was a 7 a.m. flight. We had to be there super freaking early in order to check in and all that good stuff. And we we're leaving at like 4:30 in the morning. Brain's not working very well. We were trying to find long-term parking. Thought we were in the wrong place. All right, fine. Let's park it. Let's get you guys inside and situated. I'll go figure out the parking place and who do we ask. And it was stressful because we were there in plenty of time. We were good, but we needed to make sure we got to where we needed to be. So, the stress he definitely felt. He wasn't like scared or anything like that, but once we like got situated and we were in line and going through the TSA pre-check and all that kind of stuff, I explained to him, I said, okay, this is why we go to the airport so early and wake up so early and we get here, because things like this happen and we just need time to be able to figure it out. And we need time to be able to ask questions, find out where we're supposed to be, because this whole parking thing was new and we didn't know. So he had he wasn't in charge of finding out if we were in the right place of parking and where we need to get in through security and check, but he was along for the ride. But he also saw that stress, and I explained it to him afterwards that, all right, we're not angry at each other. Maybe like me and my mom were a little snippy at each other. We're like, no, I think it's this way. No, it's this. And, that tiredness and stress coupled together to make not such a great travel experience, but that's part of traveling. And once you've gone through it and on the other side, you can leave it and be like, all right, good, we found our way, boom, we're done. Then those are good people to travel with, and you will keep taking travel trips with them. But for kids to be around that is really important. Now, your kids might be more challenging in a travel sense because, one, they've never done it and they're kind of wondering the drill and why at the gate do we have to stay near the bags and all that kind of stuff. But you can use that as like an education, as a means of teaching them this is how to do it. And at least the first time I took Nikko on a trip, and the first time that we was a little older. When it's a baby, it's a whole other set of things of making sure you get there in plenty of time and carrying a baby and sitting them on their lap and all that stuff. But when they're a little older and they're mobile and have the will of like, no, I want to go over here, that's a whole other level of being a traveler with a dad with a kid traveling. It can be that much more challenging. So knowing to take a lot of time and to expect things to not go super well right away, and it taking time and to be a little challenging, frames it for you so that you can do it that much better. Because traveling, I think, is really important for kids. I think it's important for everybody to see different parts of the world and even just different parts of your own country, to be able to see that people do things differently and it can be done differently and it's your way isn't always the right way and the only way. So it expands their minds. Plus you're doing sightseeing in different places, and that expands them educationally as well as like possibility. But if you're not travel savvy, either as a person yourself or as a family, or your kids aren't, then it might be in the back of your mind of like, oh, that would be great to take them, but like, yeah, that's too much of a pain in the ass, I'm not going to do it. So if traveling and seeing the world in that kind of way is a value of yours, then getting yourself up to speed and travel savvy is important. And I definitely saw this last trip that Nikko knew the drill because of the other work we'd done. So it gets better each and every time. So my advice would be, if that's something that you want to do, start early and start them younger, get them used to it. And the next part would be make sure you give yourself lots of time and mental space to be able to really, really get to the point where you are, even if everything goes completely wrong, it's going to be okay. And you're going to have plenty of time to get there and not add that level of stress of missing a flight, because that would suck. So travel. It's something that's really important to me. I'm going to be doing a lot more of in the next couple of years. One, business-wise, and two, with Nikko and my family. And I see like it gets easier and easier every time. So hopefully it helps and plants a seed that if that's something you want to do, that it's possible and it's work to get up to there, but it builds and it gets better and better and better. So you can have those adventures wherever it is on the planet you decide to take your kid and to have that dad adventure with. So until next time, Dad, take good care of yourself, take good care of your family, and we'll connect on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to that episode. Guess what? My dad just formed a new thing. It's called a Slack group.
What's that?
I don't know. But you can find more about it and join if you go to thedadhoodjourney.com. See you there. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.